Thanks, everyone. So, John, do you share your screen with
Yep,
me?
you go ahead. It's available, Todd.
Can everybody see it?
Not yet. I've got multiple participants can share simultaneously. You know, maybe because Shannon already did that. I'm going to click off that.
Yes. Are we good now?
Yep, there we go.
Perfect. Well, number one, Mike, thanks for the invite today. This is a big day for campus recreation at MSU because we opened up the rec center about 36 minutes ago, and we've been closed. Auto Recreation Center on campus, we've been closed since the end of the day on March 13th. So we were closed over 5 months. So it's a kind of a busy day on campus up here. Our students and faculty staff are wanting to come back in and work out. But this isn't about the recreation center. This is about the All-Sports Dome today. And I'm glad you made mention, Mike, that the field itself is called Shields Field. And I know Lori Benecke's on the call. And we always like to say thanks to our corporate partners, our sponsors, those people who provide grants to us at the university. So as you can see, there's a picture of the dome, an aerial picture, and then you can see
Actually, Todd, we don't see the picture of the dome right now. We see the Word document.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, click on back on your PowerPoint.
How about this?
There you go.
You can see it now, good.
Yep, and do you want to actually start the presentation with your PowerPoint?
Yeah. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, so as you can see, the dome itself from an aerial photo, the inside of the dome, it's aligned for a bunch of different sports we'll talk about here just in a little bit. But it's also aligned for softball. So little dome information. It's almost 110,000 square feet with a little over 4,000 square foot support building. Construction costs were just short of $5.5 million. And as most of you know, if you've seen the facility or been in it, we started construction last June. And in 5 to 6 months, we opened it up actually on December 6, 2019 with some NCAA soccer. Our women's soccer team hosted a regional soccer tournament. And again, I like to give kudos to the private support of Shields All-Sports Foundation for their sponsorship of the field itself, and their name is on the field turf. Facility provides needed seasonal space for campus recreation, athletics, classes, and then a big part of what we do is we rent the facility out to community and regional groups and individuals. As far as the facility itself, we try to heat it to around 60 degrees, but the exterior temperature is sometimes affects the interior temperature. So on cold days when the wind chill is, and we found that out this past winter when the wind chill was way below zero, the inside of the dome was also cooler in temperature. So air inflated dome covers a synthetic turf play field, and that from cement to cement, it's 150 yards by 80 yards wide. So it's quite a facility. So east-west, we can run one full-size field, whether it be soccer, football, lacrosse, or we can split it 3 ways on the north and south orientation. And each of those, we call them smaller size fields, but they're actually lined for soccer, and they're 70 yards long and 44 yards wide. But the field is lined for full field soccer, and these lines are different colors. Soccer, football, men's and women's lacrosse. So we have different creases for men's versus women's lacrosse, and they're permanently inlaid lines as well. And then we have the short field soccer lines. And the other nice thing is we can play 2 NCAA regulation fast pitch softball games in the facility at once. So we also have lines for softball. On the west side of the facility, it also houses 3 baseball or softball batting cages. And then the attached support building has a check-in lobby area. It's got an office that our staff check people in there. We've got 3 bathrooms in the facility, vending machines, and a storage room. But we don't have locker rooms or changing rooms. That's one thing we don't have. You'll be happy to know for those groups that have come up here already, we utilize an underutilized Orange Lot 22 South parking lot on campus. So there's always room for our patrons of the Dome to park. And there's no charge to park, whether it's for a practice, an event, a game or whatever. We don't charge to park there. and that's kind of rare up at MSU. So, but we do have the free lot, which is right next to that parking lot as well. So the dome can be rented as a single field or an entire facility for practices, games, tournaments, clinics, and other special events, birthday parties, things like that. The dome is available for rent weekday mornings at times, after 5 p.m. weekdays, and on weekends when MSU is not using it. So first, we take care of our own students with the dome. The students have paid for the construction costs. Our rental fees cover the annual operations and maintenance of the dome. But we have a lot of usage weekday mornings and up until 5 o'clock, depending on what sport is in season. When the dome is up, they'll utilize the facility anywhere from 6:15, 6:30 a.m. up until 5 p.m. at times. But we do have availability here and there in the weekday mornings, but normally any rentals occur after 5 p.m. on weekdays and then on weekends. As you probably have seen, the dome has been up all summer, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But normally you'll see it up from late October through late April. It's a temporary structure, so we only can occupy the dome for 6 months. Our goal is to take it down every spring at the end of April and put it up at the end of October. However, this year, and a lot of it was COVID related because of the labor charges that were going to be incurred, because the people that you normally, other dome owners, they get a lot of the Department of Corrections people that come out on weekends and help set domes up and down, because it's a very large task. It takes about 50 to 60 people over the course of a weekend to roll out the fabric and the cables and everything to put it up and down. But those people were not available. So what happened was we got quotes back, and you'll find this quite astronomical. We thought it was going to be about $40,000 each time to take it down, and then another $40,000 to put it back up. When we quoted it out in about February, no, it was actually in March, excuse me. It came back at about $275,000 total, $150 to take it down and $125 to put it back up. So administration at the university said, you know what, we're going to spend $5,000 a month, and that was about the cost of keeping it inflated throughout the summer. So really it's costing us about $30,000 to put it in unoccupied mode, keep it inflated, and that's the total cost for the summer to keep it inflated. So $30,000 versus $275,000, you know why we made that choice, especially this summer. But you know, in years down the road, especially even like next spring, we hope to be able to take it down. Hopefully we get a reasonable quote. So when the dome is down, the field will be used as another outdoor sports and rec field, but it won't be lighted. And we can use that spring, summer, and fall, the campus, and also we'll do some rentals at that time as well. So if you have interest in the dome, there's my contact information. I want to share some rental rates with you for external rentals, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's $100 an hour per field, $300 an hour for the entire facility. Then after 3 p.m. weekdays, and then both days, Saturday, Sunday, so all day Saturday and all day Sunday, what's called the prime time rate. It's $150 an hour per field, $450 an hour for the entire facility. Batting cages, we have people that come in and just rent batting cages. We found that this spring, you know, they were getting ready for the baseball season, which didn't happen, but those cages are $30 an hour or $20 for a half hour for each cage. And I see Don Westfall's on the call, and Bethany has been one of our renters, so he knows what I'm talking about here. So renters last season, so during the 1920 season up until we closed on after the evening of March 15th, Mankato United Soccer is our largest renter of the space. Peppers Pro SBC for softball, MSU soccer, baseball, and softball. And even our internal people have to rent space for different types of things that they may host, tournaments and camps and clinics. Bethany baseball and softball, the school district for baseball and softball, and I think lacrosse, and now next spring I've even been contacted for potential football practices for the school district. Maba baseball had some rentals. Mankato Area Lacrosse Association also had reservations on the books, even though we closed the week that they were going to start practicing. And then other groups and individuals, birthday parties, different baseball and softball groups rented it for teams like in-house baseball and softball types of things. We had some other individual and group soccer, lacrosse rentals, and then also batting cages. So that's kind of where we were at with rentals last year. Our students use the facility a lot for intramurals and sport clubs and just open rec. The one thing I failed to mention under the cost to rent the dome, we also have drop-in play. We call it open dome time. So anybody from the general public, even minors, but they have to be, if you're under 14, you have to be accompanied by adult, have to be in that group. But drop-in play is $5 per person per day. We have them sign online waivers and do all those kinds of things. But yeah, so that in a nutshell is kind of what's going on with the Maverick Sports Dome. And now I'm open for questions. If anybody has any questions about the facility. The one thing I failed to say, first off, is we're not quite sure where we're at with rentals for this fall, and it may be even into the spring for because of the COVID-19 pandemic. At this point, and we're going to get the word out soon, so you guys are hearing it first, but we're really looking at probably no external rentals of any of our facilities on campus, because trying to limit the exposure. You know, our students start back with class next Monday, the 24th of August. But we're trying to limit the exposure of our students and our faculty and staff. So there won't be as many guests and visitors and rentals on campus starting this fall until the pandemic is over. It's unfortunate, but it's the direction we have to go to hopefully keep our students on campus and safe. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Questions for Todd. Todd, I'll start with a question myself. I heard you say that you can only have it up 6 months out of the year. Is it because it's too hot in the summer on the inside, or what's the deal there?
That's a great question, John. It's a seasonal structure. In fact, if we would have put fire suppression in the building and made it a permanent structure, it was going to be about double in cost. So that $5.5 million construction cost would have cost us probably somewhere over $12 million to make it a permanent structure. So that's the reason why, based on code, it can be only occupied for 6 months. So even though the dome is up right now, we are not using it or occupying it. We could do maintenance types of things to the dome, but we can't play in it and use it.
So it's a fire code.
It is.
Okay.
So, but the one thing we found out recently is during a calendar year, we can use the facility for 6 months, like I said. And because we only utilize the space for 2.5 months in the spring, so January, February, and half of March, because we ended in March 15th, we can actually use the facility for 3.5 months at the end of calendar year 2020. So if MSU has a need to use the space, we could start using it as early as mid-September now for the rest of the calendar year 2020.
Okay.
Say, Todd.
Good questions.
Mike here, Todd.
Yeah.
Could you go through the impetus for construction of this facility and who paid for it?
Oh, sure, for sure. We originally started talking about a sports dome on campus in about 2006. We had a discussion with students. We made a proposal. We had open forums, and it went to a vote in April of 2007. And that was actually a $14 million proposal to build a seasonal structure like we've built now. But it was also other outdoor field things that we wanted to do. We wanted to put field turf in Blakesley Stadium. And that went to an all-student vote in April of 2007 and got voted down. So fast forward, 10, 11 years later, we started talking about it again and determined that, we really need this facility. So we took it to a vote again in December of 2018. Yep, that's right, 2018, after much discussion with our student government and our students, and had open forums. We had students involved in a planning committee along with faculty, staff, administration. I believe we even had some general public and people involved in that as well. And that went to an all-student vote in December of 18, and it passed. And that was to charge our students $10 per semester, payable over, I'm drawing a blank here, payable over 10 years, I believe. And the students are paying for the construction costs, so that $5.5 million, the students are paying for $2 million of that construction cost. The university is picking up the rest. And then annual operations and maintenance to the tune of about $300,000 is paid for by rentals. So rental revenue that's generated. So, we kind of took a hit at the second, at the later part of 2020, the spring of 20, because we had to refund that money back to those renters. And if we don't have rentals this fall, the university is going to have to pay for that as well. So that's where Rick Straka comes in. These are people for business and finance.
That's a perfect payment plan too, Todd, because $10 a semester payable over 10 years. That's how long it took me to graduate. So that's probably a good plan. So
some of us are lifers.
Yeah.
I had a question about.
Go ahead.
I had a question about the material used for the dome. What kind of maintenance you have to do on it, and how long it's expected to last?
Oh, great question. Life expectancy of the dome and the field itself, we're thinking somewhere between 15 and 20 years. The fabric is a very tough Teflon type of fabric, the dome membrane, let's call it that. You may have saw this summer that we took the dome down for one day. It got deflated for one day. Some of you may have seen it, or maybe it was in the media. We had some warranty work that we needed to do on the dome because there was a few holes in the facility. We keep pumping air into there, and it's high pressure. And there was a couple tears in the facility that they couldn't get repaired without taking the dome down. So we've got I believe it's a 3-year warranty on the fabric itself. So they came out and fixed that. But, the wear and tear, to leave it up over the course of the summer, we weigh that against taking it up and down because there's wear and tear in the dome when you take it down too. But like I said, the plan is to take the dome up and down each fall and each fall and spring. The surface itself, we groom that. The field turf, it's called. It's a mixture of sand and rubber, but we groom that. Our grounds crew does a great job of grooming that and keeping that in great play shape, that it's got the right shock absorption for our athletes, for our contact sports like football, lacrosse, rugby, and then we play a lot of soccer in there as well. But it's basically an all outdoor sports type of turf that we can play baseball and softball in there too. So,
Todd, you said there's a lot of air pressure in there. So is it kind of like, we all remember going to Twins games or Vikings games at the Metrodome? When you leave, is there a lot of air pushing you out of the building?
There is. We have an airlock door, ADA compliant door that you can go through, but everybody normally goes through a turnstile, and it's an airlock door. And you have to be careful because if you have other exterior doors that you open in the let's say an overhead garage door into the dome is open. I did it one day and it almost blew me right out onto our entry garage door area. It was it shocked me, but yes, there's a lot of pressure that blows out.
Okay. Todd, can you stop sharing so we can just see more people on the screen? That'd be great.
There's a question in chat, I believe.
Okay.
What about when it storms? What happens when it storms, Todd?
Well, we just pray that it stays up, right? What my colleagues say, and I'm in a group of other dome operators around the state. Our grounds crew director, Bruce Lieberman's on it as well, and a few of other staff. But they tell me it's not a matter of if the dome's going to go down, it's when. So that's not very comforting to me. But if you're inside the dome and the wind's blowing heavily, you can see the lights in the facility move as well. But it's built for high winds. There's no doubt about that. But it's an amazing facility. We're always pumping air pressure in, so there's air leaking out. It's not an airtight facility by any stretch of the imagination. But I think it's an engineering marvel. Domes are, they really are. That just air. When I first saw it go up for the first time last December, and it took about 2 hours to inflate it from start to finish. Our air handlers that push air in it to blow it up and to keep it inflated are in the far west end of the facility. And I was standing on the east end out by Monks, and I'm seeing this thing come to life, and just the fact that a couple air handlers blowing air in it can inflate a structure like that, because that fabric Teflon membrane is very heavy, along with the cables that you see around the entire arc of the dome are very heavy, and air just pushes that thing right up. It's amazing that it can stay inflated, and especially in storms. But when we get, snow and things like that, that's at a time when we're going to increase the temperature to melt snow, and we're going to maybe blow more air into it to get it just a little bit tighter so things shed off, because it's literally like an avalanche of snow at times coming off and shedding off the dome after a snowstorm. So our workers who are around the dome moving snow have to be careful, because how heavy snow is, and when it's wet, it comes roaring off that dome, the sides of the dome.
Time for one more question. If you have one more question, anybody? All right, Todd, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate that. Good luck with the dome, and thanks for speaking with us today. Let's give him a nice thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks everyone for having me. Appreciate the time.
Yep. We have a special thing happening today. Mike, you want to let us know who our speaker is, who's right in the room with us here next week?
Yep, I am still here. I just need to take off real quickly. But Jamil Huck will be our new member, will be the speaker next week. And I don't know if Jamil, if you have about a 1 minute introduction of what you'll be speaking about next week. Sorry, caught you by surprise there.
Let me see here. I'm looking for him. Oh, you know what? He might have had to, maybe he had to be somewhere at 1 o'clock. I don't see him.
Okay, yeah, that's a bad way to out him, isn't it? But Jamil works with the Kessel Institute for Peace, I believe is the name, on campus. He's also a history professor, but he's going to talk about a subject that has gotten a little bit of publicity, possibility of renaming Sibley Park. I know that will be one of the topics that he talks about. So it might be something that if you have some interest in that sort of subject, share it with friends, or let us know and invite them along.
All right, that sounds like a great subject next week. I'll invite you all to come and join us next week. With that, I'm looking here, I don't see Orion anymore. I want to thank Mary for joining us today from the Action Club. Thank you, Mary, for joining us. Let's go ahead, Orion, unless I'm mistaken, you're not out there anymore. I will lead us in When Kiwanis Calls, and feel free to sing along with if you wish.
Orion is here.
Oh, where is he? Orion, are you here?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, Orion, take it over. Take it away when Kiwanis calls.
When Kiwanis calls. We've got a daughter here, Deborah from St. Charles, Illinois. She'll accompany us on her flute.
All right.
When Kiwanis calls, when Kiwanis calls, let everyone stand up. When Kiwanis calls, when Kiwanis calls, let each one raise his call. As we gather round the table, as long as we are able, we'll pledge to thee our loyalty. When Kiwanis calls. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Orion. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. We will see you next week when we'll hear all about Sibley Park from Dr. Huck. See you, everybody.
Bye.